My name's Spring, and I'm a singer-songwriter, guitar player, and pianist. I play what I guess would be considered pop music, a little bit inspirational, lyric-wise. I like to write music and play music that takes people on a journey and basically lifts them up by the end of the song, giving them hope and thoughts of tomorrow could be a better day, or today could be a better day. I grew up in a family with not many musicians at all, and I used to admire all my friends who played guitar or piano. And I remember going over to my girlfriend's house, and she was taking piano lessons, and I'd be like, show me what you learned, show me what you learned. And I'd watch as if this was everyone else's talent but mine. But I always knew at a young age I was inspired by music and by instruments especially. So one day it was raining, and I'm very rarely a bored child, but it was raining, and I just was like, Mom, I'm bored. And my mother said, well, I have that old guitar. It was like this old nylon string guitar, totally out of tune. And she dragged it out of the closet. It was out of tune at the time. Neither one of us knew how to tune it. But as soon as I picked that little nylon string guitar up, I was strumming away. And, as out of tune as it was, I just never stopped. I never put it down. And she said, well, if you're going to keep playing that thing, I better go get it tuned. So we brought it next door to the neighbor, and he knew how to tune the guitar and play by ear. And he would tune it, and I would strum it to death until it was out of tune again, and we'd bring it next door to tune it. And then eventually we caught on that I could actually buy a tuner and tune it myself. And I learned, my first 3 chords I learned, and I was writing songs from day one. And still never thought that it was a talent of mine, but I just kept doing it because I loved it. And that was, I think that's the magical key to anything in life. Find what you love to do and then keep doing it and let it take you on the journey to where you're supposed to go with it. I don't remember exactly. I think I was about 14. So I was sort of late starter, considering a lot of people know when they're 5. I knew when I was 5 years old that I was singing and dancing and doing shows, like little skits as a kid, when I was about 5. And I knew I loved to sing and dance, and I loved music. And then becoming a guitar player was more like, it didn't reach out and grab me till I was about 14. Well, probably because I'm a woman, I took a liking to the Go-Go's, the first all-girl band that played all their own instruments and wrote all their own songs. And I just fell in love with the Go-Go's, and I thought, they are so cool. I totally want to do that. I just want to get in a van, get in a car, and just strum the guitar. And the lead guitarists for the Go-Go's used to do very simple leads, and that was doable for me. So I started learning their music because it was doable. I could listen to their songs on the CD, the record player, whatever it was. I listened to their songs, and I would be able to pick out the notes and say, play the leads or play the rhythm parts, and it was very exciting. So, and then after that, I think I took a liking to heart, and I thought, once again, it was just so cool that here are these women playing these real great strummy acoustic. Nancy Wilson plays this great strumming acoustic part, and then Anne, of course, could sing, like that great singing voice. And my singing voice was something that I came into later when I was about 18 years old. And I went to college. I actually didn't want to go to college. I wanted to just run away with a rock band when I was 18. My parents weren't too happy about that. So they said, no, young lady, you're going to college. And so the first thing I did was join a rock band in college. And that's when I started to realize that I like to sing also. So when I got to college, I joined a rock band, and we were sort of Fleetwood Mac-ish. We had guys and girls, and we all sang and wrote songs together, and it was very much that I had to play the role of the electric guitarist, which is this guitar here that I played the leads and stuff on. And then I had to also play the role of the acoustic guitarist for some songs, and then certain songs that I wrote I would also sing. So I switched on and off a lot in this band. And it was a great learning experience because it was at that point that I could start to define what I was really better at or what I liked to do more of. And I think I started taking vocal lessons around that time and realizing that in order to sing with a band, you really have to have more technique and protect your voice a little bit and develop your voice to sing over drums and in loud environments. So I was about 18, I started vocal lessons. And then I took a few guitar lessons around that time. And the band really helped me grow in terms of playing with other people and getting my timing down, my tempo down. I was sort of out of that free form, just strumming my guitar in my bedroom, and now I was more into the art of performing and being more out in the public eye. I started writing music the week after I started playing the guitar. I learned 2 chords that I could actually play really well and change, probably the A and the E minor. Those 2 chords, and I probably wrote my first song with those 2 chords. Yeah, I think for me, the minute I strummed a chord on the guitar, I felt something. And music at that moment just was about expressing emotion. So 2 chords was all I needed to do that. And then of course the 3rd chord came, and then I could actually really write an actually interesting song. The first, 50 songs were probably horrible. I still have them in a book, but you're not going to get me to play one of those. So I was in this band in college for 5 years, and in that time we played live like every week, sometimes a couple of times a week. We would rehearse. We went to the recording studio many, many times, and we produced a cassette, we produced a record, then we toured, got in a van and went to Miami and back. So I had a real, that was my real rock and roll experience, and that was 5 years, which was a long marriage of sorts. And after we kind of graduated college, we tried to keep it going for a few years, and half of us wanted to do it professionally and half of us didn't. So it was a parting of ways. At that time, I thought, well, what's next? And I decided to go solo because that to me felt like a natural next step. And then I came crashing into the fact that I had tremendous stage fright, which I never knew I had because I always had the guys in the band on the stage with me. And so here I am now, my first time on stage, hyperventilating and forgetting my chords and forgetting my words, and it was terrifying. And I remember one of my father had said, well, if it's this hard, why don't you just quit? And I just thought, because I love it. It never occurred to me to quit. And that was when I realized, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a part of my life no matter what, probably forever. It was like the biggest commitment I had made up till that point. And I said, no, if I'm nervous, I just have to keep getting back out there until I'm not. And that's what I did. I went to open mic nights and just kind of took a bunch of steps backwards and just got up there every night, forgetting words and forgetting chords, until one day I wasn't nervous anymore because I had messed up enough in front of people. I thought I have nothing more to lose. So at that point, I started my solo career somewhere after the point where maybe it was a year of being really nervous. And then I sort of stopped being nervous, and I thought, okay, now I can do this. And I recorded my first solo album myself called The Spring Thing. Okay, my first album was called The Spring Thing, mainly because I didn't have a title for it, and I just kept calling it The Spring Thing because my name is Spring. And it was really a labor of love. The entire album was magical. And of course, everybody's first record it consists of the songs they spent their whole lifetime writing. So here I am in my 20s, and I have all these songs that I have been writing from that really ripe place of kind of growing into who you are. And it was a great album. And the musicians that helped me record that record were really good friends. And so it was just an experience where just all these people that love each other got together and just wrote the guitar parts, wrote the parts, got in the studio, played them, and I think it shows. It's still my favorite record of all the ones I've done. It's the purest and most heartfelt album. I think it was just really innocent, so I still love listening to it. I did a couple other albums that I've discontinued that were just statements I needed to make at the time, and I sold a couple of hundred and then they were gone. So I've probably recorded about 5 albums over my career, and 3 of them are still available now. One of them is a Christmas CD, because I love Christmas music, and the Spring Thing. And then the second one is called With the Sun's Love. And the second album, I started getting into playing more piano, so it's a little more piano oriented. It's been an interesting ride. I think that when I first started, I remember people saying the starving artist came up a lot, and that kind of got into my brain. And so I was a starving artist for the beginning of my career. I always had another full-time job while I was doing it. And there was a point in my career where, when my first album came out, The Spring Thing, I was in love with music, and I was working another day job, mostly just secretarial. I was just in an office, and one day I just closed the filing cabinet, one time too many, and I said, what the heck am I doing here? And I quit the job and said, I'm gonna go do this music thing full time. And I had a lot of faith, and I don't know where that faith came from, but probably the love for what I had for music. And at that point, I spent the next 5 years making a living, making music, paying rent and paying bills, and I just did any gigs I could get. I sang at senior citizen homes, I sang for children, I did the coffee houses, I sold my CDs. I also started designing jewelry and selling that at my shows, and so that was sort of an offshoot. It's still the artistry, being an artist. And I think that was a defining moment for me, because it was when I realized that you can do anything you set your mind to. And don't listen to people who say, you can't make money, you can't make a living doing what you love, or being an artist, or being a guitarist, or a singer. And it was at that point that I started getting into a little more inspirational music, and started singing in churches that are non-denominational, New Thought, like Unity, and that was a whole nother avenue of bringing that positive, you can do it message to people. And then I started making even more money at it. And so I've been pretty much a full-time musician for most of my musical career. You know, the piano was an interesting thing, because when I first started playing guitar, I had to really work hard at it for 6 months until it clicked, and I felt like I could change chords and really be smooth on it. But the piano was almost instantaneous. I feel like I had no learning curve, and I had a dream one day. I had a dream one night that I was playing piano, like a classical piano, and I woke up from that dream and thought, whoa, what was that? And literally sat down at the piano, and or keyboard I had at the time, and I was fairly quick at picking up, like my fingers just kind of knew what to do. So the piano feels like kind of my God-given instrument, and at the same time, I would say I can't play all my songs on the piano, but I can play everything on the guitar. So I don't know what that means, but the guitar is really my first main instrument, and if I had to go to a gig with just one instrument, it would definitely be a guitar, because you can do more rhythmically, you know, and you can change it up a little. You know, you can do the basic strumming, or you can do real rhythmic stuff. You know, and that gives a whole different vibe. Or you can do like the finger picking, you know, kind of ooh. Whereas the piano, I have more of everything kind of sounds the same when I play the piano. So I think the guitar offers a little more variety. And of course you can stand and look at your audience a little more intimately for a gig than on a piano. I don't remember what the first song was that I heard, but I remember as a child hearing music and just getting stirred inside emotionally. And when I first started playing the guitar, it was that same kind of feeling, only more intense, because not only was I listening to it, it was sort of coming from me. And if I, as a teenager, was really sad and I could strum a chord and sing a lyric that was expressing that emotion, it was freedom. It was like I could get that out of me. I could release that, and it takes me to another place. It's kind of like swirling out of your body and just going to a really happy, wonderful place, like a really beautiful dream that you don't wake up from. Well, you wake up from it when you stop the song. And I think that that pleasureful feeling has always been what keeps me coming back to writing and making music. And that moment where, I mean, there's such a dichotomy between being in an office job and making music. I mean, they're two totally different things. So I think that I just found myself one day walking around the office filing papers and thinking, you know, you're only young once, you only live once, you only have one time to go around your life. And I was spending so many hours of my day doing this. And I thought, well, and then I also worked in video production, which was my college degree, was in communications. And I was working in video production at one point too, and those were 16-hour days. So I would find myself working 16-hour days or working, you know, 8-hour days in the office. Either one was a huge chunk of my life. And I thought, I just want to spend as many hours of my life doing what it is that I love. And I will give up anything and anything I have to live a quality life. It was sort of a weird thought, because why would you have to give up something to get what you want? And ultimately you're living what you want. But I had that thought that whatever it takes to do more of this or more of what I love, I'm going to do that. It's the biggest commitment I've ever made, is to music. This is my baby. I love this guitar. I got lipstick on it. I love this guitar so much, I will not fly with it. I know, I'm crazy. So I fly with that, which is the Baby Martin. This is the Mommy Martin, and that's the Baby Martin. And I fly with that. And it actually does really good. It does well live, because you can plug it in. But this is the first acoustic, no wait, this is the second acoustic guitar I have. Okay, wait. This is the first Martin that I ever bought. And the beauty about Martins is that they age with you. It's like they shape to your body and your hands, and they get better with age. And I went to the guitar store with a guitarist friend of mine, and he picked this up, and he was actually playing it from across the store as I was looking at other guitars. And I turned around and said, "What are you playing? That guitar sounds amazing." I heard it reverberating from the other side of the room. And he put it in my hands, and I played it, and he walked across the room and said, "That's your guitar." And it's a 0018, which is a smaller body because I'm kind of a small woman. So it actually fits me really well, so that my arm is not, you know, all the way up here like on this guitar. This Yamaha's a little bigger. And so so I can actually rest my hand pretty well and play it for hours. So when I have the 3-hour gigs, it's very comfortable. And the neck just fits me like a glove. I love this guitar because I feel like when I strum it, I just feel like it just pops out, you know, it comes alive. I can feel it vibrating against my body. I feel like it helps me. It writes the songs with me and for me almost. I don't have to work hard. I mean, I just feel like it just has a reverberation. It has life. Nothing like wood, real wood. And in fact, I think, yeah, it still smells like real wood, you know? It feels to me like it's breathing and living, and it's got a heartbeat that just kind of syncs with mine. And we've had a long life together. We've written many, many nice songs together. It's sort of like a companion at this point. And it's, you know, they say anything's replaceable, but I sort of feel like it's not.
Wow.
So if I drive anywhere, it comes right out of the car with me. It goes into the restaurant with me. It goes everywhere with me. I very rarely leave this guitar in a case not near me. It's a strange kind of relationship, but it's a beautiful one. I do. Josephine is my piano. and I write all my piano songs on Josephine, and I haven't named my guitar actually, but I write most of, I guess call it Martin, really, but I write pretty much all of my songs on Martin. I get asked this question a lot. Do you start writing with the music or do you start writing with the words? And I would say 10% of the time I get lyrics in my head. And I have, now I have this iPhone which has a tape recorder on it, and it has a little notepad. So if I get lyric ideas, I can just record them. That's 10% of the time though. I think 90% of the time I just sort of get I just sort of sit and strum and then kind of get more of a melody. And actually a lot of times I'll be driving the car and I'll just get a melody going through my head and I'll sing it into the tape recorder, and it's not even lyrics. It's kind of like bam bam dum bam bam dum dum bam bam dum bam bam dum dum, and I'll record that and then come home and try to sort of find the chords of what I was singing. So I would say, in fact, I recently went to a songwriting workshop in Nashville, and Jason Bloom gave some really great songwriting advice. And he had said, if you're primarily a singer, which I now consider myself primarily more of, he said you should write songs with your voice, because your voice will write melodies that maybe your hands can't play on the guitar or the piano. So I have started to do that more. So for my writing style, I would say I'll get ideas with my voice, which is a melody. Then I bring it to the guitar and find the rhythmic place. And now I have this great musical chorus verse structure. And then, what do I want to say? Lyrics are the hardest part. Because I think what makes a great song is when the music and the melody and the rhythm build and those lyrics soar in and just, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful merging of message and music and melody that just takes you for a ride. And getting those two to marry each other perfectly and get along at every phrase and every turn is, I think that's the biggest challenge. And I think if you ask most songwriters, they'll say they're still trying to achieve that, no matter how many songs they've written in their career. I'm still trying to achieve that. Yeah, I think the lyrics change more than the music does, because interestingly enough, you write a song with the music and the chords and you get the bridge and so you get the structure of the song, and then that doesn't really change. But the lyrics will often change. I'll write one set of lyrics and then I'll start picking at them. I'll start, picking at the lyrics and changing them more often than I will change the music. So I think the music and the melody tends to sort of set itself, and the lyrics are what tend to ebb and flow. And that is usually the last part of what I'm working on. I get impatient because I'm so psyched about the song, and then it's like that one line, that one lyric, it's not right. That's the process. Life is a lot like that. Yeah, and if you have, cracks in the floor, you just see that one crack. It's like I could have this song with these, and I'm kind of infamous for this in my own head, where I have all these songs written even on albums, and there's that one line that I'm like, oh, I wish I could have said something better. Or you'll get a song critique from someone and you'll say, oh, they found that one line, like they'll point out that one line. I get that sensation a lot where I'll hear a song and I want to listen to it over and over and over again. And then as a songwriter, the first thing I ask myself is, what's making you want to listen to that song over and over again? And it's turned out that it's that thing that often you'll hear in songwriting classes, or you'll read in songwriting books, where it just says, you need a hooky chorus. You need a chorus that's really going to play over in your head, or a hook. But I think on top of that, it's a song that, I don't know, like stirs the pot. It kind of gets into you and it just moves you. And for me, a lot of times it's based on minor chords, like it's kind of minor chords are kind of sexy chords versus a major chord. They're just kind of happy chords. But I think for me, a lot of times I will find songs that have minor chords. This is getting a little technical. will be the ones I'll want to listen to over and over again. If I were to line up all the songs that I've listened to thousands of times, they probably have some moody minor thing going on in there. But there's songs that usually are, sometimes they're slow and sometimes they're upbeat. So it's not the tempo as much as it takes you for the ride. Either it's tapping into an emotion or an experience I've had with love or with life or with a dream and something that's really meaningful to me. And it's talking about that. Or sometimes it's just, it's as simple as, I don't know if I can mention a song, but one of the songs I listen to over and over is Natasha Bedingfield's Pocket Full of Sunshine. I got a pocket full of sunshine. I got a love and I know that it's all mine. Oh, it's just got this really, kind of beat that you just want to kind of do this to. And then the chorus is this screaming. She's like all the way up here, take me away. And it's so simple. But when I hear it, I just, it frees me. I want to get up out of my seat and just go make something happen. So I think it varies. And sometimes I'll listen to a ballad over and over just because it stirs the pot of my emotions and my feelings of, love, feelings of love or feelings of passion. And I think a really great song is a song that takes you out of the state you're in and brings you to another state of mind, like an escape, and taps you into the essence of who you are. A really great song can do that and takes you for a ride with a chorus. Maybe it brings you up and then it brings you down and brings you up and brings you down. And it's like the journey of life. If you can accomplish that in a 3-minute song, I'll listen to it 100 times. Another thing, a really good song when it sounds really great acoustic. Because you can get in the studio. Actually, I haven't talked about that, but you can get in the studio and you can layer a million tracks and polish a turd, kind of like take a song that's just okay and make it sound really great with all the layers and the bells and the whistles and the fancy stuff. But when you can actually just play a song on an acoustic guitar and it sounds interesting and it commands your attention, that's when you know you have a good song. When I started out doing music, I was mostly a live performer, and I mostly did acoustic guitar and just singer-songwriter stuff, play guitar and sing a song. That's how it all started. But when I went to record my first record, I started building my own studio from day one because it was so expensive to go into studios. And so it opened me up to the world of, at the time, 8 tracks. And I could record one guitar track on here, and then I would use my, this guitar has the second set of 6 strings that would go on a 12-string guitar. So the 12-string has the high strings, which are on there, and then these are the low strings. And I would actually play, because I didn't have a 12-string guitar, so I figured, but I had this one, so let me put the high strings on there, and I would actually play one part here, and then I would capo and play a different set of chords there and start creating textures. And that's when I just discovered this passion for recording music and making a very basic songs a little more interesting. And I started, and now I would say at this point in my career, I could bury myself in my recording studio and get lost in drum loops and producing, and the song ends up sounding so different than when I actually wrote it on the guitar. But I love, to me, being in a recording studio is like a visual artist with a blank canvas and paint. You just start with this basic, and then you take that and you just layer it, and you put different textures and shapes in the forms of bass guitar, high string guitar, keyboards, sounds, a piano, and then you just create this beautiful creation, So yeah, I get lost in the studio for hours, and it's probably my favorite place to be. As the years have gone on, I've gotten fed less from performing live in front of audiences, and I get fed a lot more in the studio. I'm a private person, which is a dichotomy, but I think I'm a singer-songwriter. I think of myself now as a singer-songwriter and an artist first. and an entertainer second. So a lot of times I'm more comfortable and natural being in the confines of a studio and creating, and then when I go out to perform live, it's a whole different personality that I have to bring out and then connect that to people. Whereas in the studio, you're just sort of connecting with your own spirit. Right now, I just take what comes my way. Sometimes I sing and play guitar with other guitarists. I do duo gigs. Sometimes I sit in with jazz guys as a singer, and sometimes I do singer-songwriter solo stuff. I still perform in churches with more inspirational music. I decided for the last year, I decided to stop actively pursuing gigs and just start really spending more time in writing and recording music. So I spend more time at home in my studio making music and writing songs and crafting out that. And when I get called to do a gig, I say yes. I went away for 2 months basically on a tour, and I was doing mostly singing. I also sing in studio. I'll do backup work, backup vocal work. Mostly backup vocal work, not a whole lot of guitar stuff in the studio. But yeah, so I did spend 2 months sort of touring the churches, the inspirational, the New Thought churches, and sitting in with some jazz guys here and there, because that's sort of a little private passion of mine. But I came home and just decided I wanted to spend more time in my studio. I mean, I think if it was like, if I was, always say it this way, like if I was on a desert island and there was just like no people, so it wouldn't matter whether you perform live or wouldn't matter what you do, you know, I would just like sit behind a little tree and just write songs all day. So that's what I'm doing now. My claim to fame is that I played hacky sack with Sarah McLachlan and her band. Many, many years ago, before she was super famous, I went to one of her concerts early, and there they were, outside their tour bus playing hacky sack. So I just walked on over, and next thing I knew, someone's throwing me the little beanie thing, and my knee went up, and I was in the game. And that's kind of symbolic, you know? You just got to lift your knee and get in the game of life. And that was really fun. I did pretty good. I think I've admired a lot of female artists over the years because I'm a woman, and it always gave me a little bit of encouragement to see other women doing things. I mean, music is has been somewhat of a male-dominated business through my growing up in it. And to see other women really stepping up into playing instruments, writing songs, it was always inspirational. It kind of always brought me to that next level of you can do it, you can do it. And Sarah McLachlan's an awesome talent. She plays piano extremely well. She plays guitar very well, and she writes songs very well. And I think she's just an all-around talented artist on a lot of levels. And I feel like she stayed within a lot of integrity to her art. And she, in the interviews I've seen of her, she stays very pure. She's a clear channel for what she gives to us as her audience. And I think that's a goal I've held for myself. Every time I get out in front of an audience and I'm performing a song, I feel like if there's any goal I have as a musician, as a guitar player, as a singer-songwriter, it's just to be a pure, honest channel of what's moving through me. Music's all about the emotion. It's all about expression. It's all about stirring the pot of what's going on inside a human being and stirring the pot of what's going on inside of me. So that's the gift. That's the sharing that I want to happen with my audiences. And in order to do that, I need to step out there as a clear channel, which means I'm not thinking about anything else but being one with my instrument, you know, and the emotional space that's between all of us. Well, from my days of having stage fright, one of the things I realized created stage fright was that I was self-conscious. I was worried, what are they going to think about me? And when you're worried about what people are thinking of you, you're not being you. because now you're just out to please them. So yeah, what's interesting is, and then that when you get stage fright, your hands are shaking, and so it's hard. You're sort of strumming weird, and then you're singing a little vibrato-y. But when you're really connected, you know, it's just like a. You know, then you're just really. You're solid, and you're connected, and in fact, this reminds me of a Tai Chi instructor I had. I used to do Tai Chi, and the instructor was a very spiritual guy, and he had told me once. I don't know how we got on this conversation, but he was saying about connecting with your audience and like, don't stare them down. It's not about them. It's about you and your connection to your instrument and your music, and then you're just. What's the word? You're sharing that out. You're putting that out to them, and then they sort of take that and create what they want from it. So, so stage fright for me was really all about not making that connection myself with my instrument and my music. And once I realized that, it was sort of like an overnight switch. Whereas, I guess the day I stopped being afraid to perform was the day where I made a decision and said, I'm making music because I love making music. And I would be doing this in my bedroom or my living room the same way I'm doing it on the stage. The difference is people are watching. And the joy of being a performer is that people are watching and they're sharing in the joy you have for your music. So the day I stopped being afraid was the day that I really started connecting to the joy of making music and what the songs meant to me. And it feels selfish, but that's when you really are free and open to truly give to your audience. You know, and I think with the performing thing, it's all about thinking versus feeling. I think life runs like this too. You're thinking it or you're feeling it. And it's very hard to think and feel at the same time. So if I'm sitting here and thinking about lyrics or thinking about chords, it's like, I'm lost. Then that's when you're open to all sorts of screw-ups. But when I really get in the zone where I'm feeling a song, then it all flows. And I very rarely forget lyrics or chords. I think it's a matter of getting yourself in the zone, and for me, and not paying as much attention to what's going on around me. This is where I probably differ from a lot of guitar players, in that I kind of have my stock guitars and I stick with them. As a musician, there's so many things you can buy and spend money on, especially when you have your own recording studio. So I have my Martin, which I just love this guitar. I love it so much. I have not really played another guitar that I love more. And sometimes when I travel and I don't have my guitar, someone else is here, use my Taylor or use my this or that, and really good name guitars. And I play them and it's like, this not, you know, like the fit, you know, am I getting the microphone? You're playing them and it's just awkward, you know. As soon as this guitar sits in my lap, it's like, ooh, it just fits, you know. So when I'm in the recording studio, like I said, I use this Yamaha for the high strings, and they kind of have, you know, more of that. It gives me more of a 12 string. So if I play the same part on the Martin and then I play the same part on here, you're just getting more of a 12 string guitar sound. I'm good with that. So if I had more acoustic guitars, it'd just be more to choose from, and it would probably confuse me. And then for the electric, that's my go-to, my little white guy there. And that is, does the job, you know? And with all the plugins and everything available in Logic Studio, that's my little Apple plug, my shameless Apple plug. With all the plugins available, electric guitars, you can get a lot of the sounds that you might want to get from the, you know, the programs. I don't sound like a purist at all now. And again, that's my little travel guy if I need to fly somewhere and it's this basic kind of gig. So I'm kind of a one guitar, I'm a one guitar woman. Very loyal, very committed to my one guitar. I never understood the fascination with well, I understand the fascination about having a lot of different guitars. And I think that because singing and songwriting is also important to me, I feel like I really want to get the the one guitar that fits me and get that pure sound from it, and then write the song from there. And then when I go to record, I just want a guitar I'm really comfortable playing, because quite frankly, I want to play it with no buzzes, very precisely. And so I don't want to have to get used to different guitars and then be recording with them. I like the one guitar that I'm very comfortable with, so I can get in the studio and lay down a track really clean and really solid. And to me, I guess my relationship with my guitar is a personal one. And I feel like if I'm playing another guitar, I have to kind of find the groove and the relationship with the other guitar. And then I'm having all these relationships with guitars that confuses me. So it might be a woman thing, monogamy with guitars. But I do feel like, okay, I found the one guitar that works for me and I'm good. And now, like, let me just start writing the songs and recording the songs, and I'm very content. I don't need to stray. Okay, I don't like to get into labeling music as a hobby, a love, a living. And there might be some specific ways to delineate that, to say, okay, you make a certain amount of money. I mean, some people can live off of $10,000 a year and they're making a living as a musician. And someone else will say, well, I could never make it on $10,000 a year, so to them it's not a living. So I think what is a living, what is a hobby, and what is your love, is different depending on who's looking at it. So I could sit here and say I'm making a living as a musician because I've made choices that make it work. And, but having said all that, I think hands down the important thing is I make music because I love making it. And then I have faith, do what you love and the money follows. And there's a lot of things I love in life and some other ways I sometimes make money. And that's okay too. But the important thing is to let it go. Like, don't define it. Make music because you love it, and then let that lead you to where it's going to lead you. And make sure you're spending more of your hours from that place of love. And it's funny how the money does show up. And it shows up in different ways. And sometimes it's directly related to the music. Sometimes it's indirectly related to the music. But I think the thing that makes a great song is not always defining it. It's a feeling. So I try to live my career the same way I make the art. And when I don't do that, when I think too much, I tend to screw everything up. So I try to stay in that feeling place more often than not. Over the course of my career, I'm proud to say I'm an independent artist, and I have sold thousands of my own CDs, just getting on the road and playing live gigs. That's a feeling unlike any other. And I know that I put in the work to do that. With the invention of the internet, it's opening up the doors to a whole new way to share your music with the world. And the internet, like iTunes being the main distributor of single song downloads. And so I've got my music on CD Baby, which is an independent music distribution on the hub on the internet, and then they send me into iTunes. And I recently got royalty checks in the mail, woohoo! Which is so much fun. And I saw downloads from Japan and Norway and Australia, and I'm thinking, how are these people finding me? And it's exciting, like that's why I always say, let it go and see where whoever's meant to find you will find you. So now I'm officially an international recording artist, and I'm getting royalty checks in the mail from places that I haven't even performed live at, which, I mean, I couldn't have dreamed a dream that big for myself. So that's making me want to dream bigger. It's a good thing. The 10-year plan. I think that every day I just pray I'm going to write my best song, a better song, and that song might find its way onto some TV show or some movie and reach more people and make people feel good. I mean, I think there's one part of me that wants to dream a huge dream. Like one day, someone will hear my song and I'll be plastered on every newspaper and I'll be on every TV show and I'll be the next famous big thing. There's a part of me that dreams of that romantically. And but there's another part of me that really just the core of me, the reason I do this every day, the reason I show up as an independent artist to write songs is because I just love doing it. So if I could continue doing this and continue writing songs that reach people in other countries and reach people worldwide over the internet or live, it's really all good. And I don't know that there's, at this point in my career, I don't know there's a big distinction between fame and how well I'm known or not known. I think I feel really lucky being able to wake up every day with great hands and a full voice and to be able to sing and write and make music and record it and put it out there and have people want to buy it and to have some royalty checks coming in the mail and to continue that journey every day. I think 10 years down the road, if I'm still doing that, that's great. If I've reached higher plateaus, that's great. I mean, I think every day we seek to be better than we are the day before. But I don't have a real clear picture of where I want to be in 10 years. I think I just kind of make it up as I go along. And I will say this, I love where I am today. Where I am today is way better than where I was 10 years ago. So if I can continue growing for the next decade, then I'll be happy. And it's great to have plans and goals, but I think sometimes the best plans are sometimes not even the greatest that life can dish out. Like, you asked me where I want to be in 10 years, and I'm saying to you, I want life to surprise me, and I want life to show me a better dream than the dream I could have dreamed for myself in 10 years. I think early in my career, I wrestled with the rock star thing. The expectations, the disappointments, and I fought with myself a lot. And I wasn't making my best music back then with that battle going on. And I, at one point, decided to tap into the passion and the love I had for music and just to go with that. And to trust that that would lead me where I needed to be. It's like any relationship, really. If you're with a partner that you're trying to change or you're trying to make them be something other than they're not, then it won't work and you'll just keep doing this. But if you decide to say, hey, you know what, I choose you and I see who you are and you just come and bring you here because I choose you because I like you and then I'm bringing me, and then that works a lot better. And I think with music, it's the same kind of thing. Instead of saying, well, I want to be the rock star, or I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I say, well, music, I choose you because I love how you make me feel. And then we go from there. And I surrendered the dream to let life show me what that dream would look like, because it's like surrendering to a power higher than yourself. For me, is a much gentler and more beautiful and more fun way to go through life. When I perform at the churches, it's usually during a service. I'll sing a couple of songs to enhance the topic of the day. So the minister's giving the sermon, and then I would sing a few songs around the talk that is of that topic. And then what will often happen is that evening or the next evening, I would do a concert. And I play piano and guitar. And usually churches always have really nice pianos. So that's a treat. And then I get to do a little bit of both. And the music is inspirationally based. It's just about living your best life and having hope for tomorrow. And sometimes I sing, about the ebbs and flows of life. Sometimes it's like the journey down and then that journey up and the journey down, the journey up. And people seem to relate to what I'm singing, which is really nice. And I always feel like my goal is to leave people feeling better than when they arrived and to leave them feeling fulfilled I honestly never saw myself singing in churches. When I started my career, I was a folky singer-songwriter in coffee houses. And a friend of mine asked me to come sing at her Unity church, and I got pulled into that through her. But it was like this. I never had that vision for myself. But when I went in there, I thought, these people are quiet. They're listening to my lyrics. They're not talking, drinking beers, or having big conversations. They're actually riveted. They want to hear what I have to say. And as a singer-songwriter, there's no greater gift than that, than an audience that just wants to share in what you're offering. And I got hooked, and I thought, this is a really nice experience. And I'd rather sing 1 or 2 songs to an audience that wants to hear what I have to say than sing for 3 hours to people that are milling about and doing a million other things. And that's when I had the epiphany that sometimes you just gotta go with the flow and let life show you where your music is meant to go. A bit of a journey from We Got the Beat and the Go-Go's to that. But hey, you know, that's it's all a part of me. And that's the other thing, is I can easily go back to my rock roots. I mean, I listen to Christian music, and I also listen to jazz, and I listen to rock and roll, and I listen to like Evanescence, which is really hard kind of, you know, grungy music. And I like a lot of different styles, and I'm moved by a lot of different types of artists. And I think it's not so much about your genre. And that's another thing I learned too, singing in churches, where it's really not, sometimes people hear the word church and they get like, oh, it's church music. It's heart music. All music is from the heart. And I don't think I don't think of myself as a genre per se. I think of myself as, you know, writing from the heart. I'm a human being writing about the things that we go through as human beings, just like the Rolling Stones did, just like the Beatles did. And they moved generations of people because they're singing songs that come from our heart and that are about the journey of our lives and our love lives and our romance and romance with life, romance with people. You know, music is just, it's all about that. And then, you know, the business comes along and plops us into these little genres. But I think as an artist and singer-songwriters, I mean, we really yearn to be free. I'm talking for all of us here, but as a singer-songwriter, I yearn to be as free as I can be. And, you know, and then if people need to put me into certain genres or labels, then, you know, it's okay. I've been playing the guitar for so long now. Sometimes I forget that it's something not everyone can do. And I think just sort of being able to pick up this piece of wood, you know, and just to be able to make something come alive from it. I mean, just right there, I'm just starting to, you know, feel like, I just think that's the greatest thing about playing guitar, or taking it down, you know, just kind of, sometimes I just sit there and watch the full moon and just strum, and it's not like about perfection. It's just beautiful. Yeah, right now, I've been spending a lot of time in the studio with a lot of new songs, and I am working on a new album. I've actually taken up Photoshop, so I have like 3 different album covers designed. This is how I work. I have like 30 songs I'm recording, and I have 3 different album covers, and I'm sure I'm gonna get 1 album out of all that, but now I'm working from all ends in the creative process, which to me is the most delightful part. It's just so much fun. I got an Apple computer a couple of years ago, and that's another love affair now, that it's rivaling my love affair with Martin here. Martin gets a little jealous sometimes. I spend a little too much time with Mac. And, but now I've been sort of spending a lot of time, I've been spending a lot of time in the recording studio working on new music and songwriting. And I think songwriting is sort of always evolving. And I have been studying more about what makes a great song, and hopefully I'm evolving into, I'm starting to get excited about some of the things I'm writing and creating, and it's showing growth and showing a departure from where I've been. Vocally, I'm stretching Musically, I'm stretching, and so I'm excited about what's going to come out of that. When I started playing guitar, I was in this rock and roll band, and I played a lot of leads. So me and Whitey Guitar over here had a lot of practice time together. And since I started being more of a singer-songwriter, my practice is mostly precision work, just getting a sense of timing and rhythm. You know, because a lot of times when you're playing alone, I don't have a drummer and I don't have a beat person or bongos, or so I sort of use different guitar strumming styles to give me that sense of a beat. So yeah, I do strum every day a little, and it's really about keeping the finger strength up so you can bar these chords and with no string buzzing. Yeah, and you kind of work this area of your hand, and you get that strength so you can have, my friends love when I give them shoulder massages. And the thing about playing piano is that it gives you a different kind of stretch. So I try to play a little piano and guitar every day just to keep the muscles and the fingers strong. So when I am recording, you don't hear buzzes because you're not holding the strings down. And it's mostly just to keep that precision. So when I'm recording in the studio, I have clean strums and I don't have to fix everything in the mix. When you're playing live, there's a lot more forgiveness because the moments just kind of go by. And it's about the whole experience. I feel like as a recording artist, I do have to practice more to keep my skills very precise. So, and I, play every day because I like it. So at the end of the day, just nice to kind of just chill out and strum. And you never know when you're going to get that great song idea. And so if you don't show up at your instrument every day, you might just miss it. This is a song that's off my first CD called The Spring Thing, and it's called The Whole Point Is. And it's probably one of my favorite songs only because it kind of exemplifies to me sort of the journey of life, what it's meant to me and what keeps us going. Sometimes you have these 5-year plans or 10-year plans, and this song is really just about being in the moment, living life one day at a time and realizing that, I don't know, sometimes we think we choose our lives, but I think oftentimes the best lives are the ones that choose us. I may not have a plan for tomorrow. Some think that's bad. Yeah, I thought so too, till I realized that's all I've ever had. So if that's bad, then I've been bad my whole life. I don't think so. You see, the whole point is that things work out, and I'm doing okay from day to day, yeah. And the whole point is that things work out, and I'm doing okay from day to day, yeah. I'm doing okay from day to day. Oh, my family, they're all bright and successful too. Yeah, I think they worry. Oh, I wish there was something I could do. But when I ask them, they want some things I can't give guarantees for my future. You see, the whole point is that things work out, and I'm doing okay from day to day, yeah. The whole point is that things work out, and I'm doing okay From day to day, yeah, I'm doing okay. From day to day, the whole point is that things work out and I'm doing okay. From day to day, yeah. The whole point is that things work out and I'm doing okay. From day to day, yeah, I'm doing okay. From day to day, oh, from day to day, ooh, oh, from day to day. Yeah. Well, I came into this world a curious child, my eyes wide open, feeling so alive. I was taught, be a good girl, and I lost myself in a crazy world. The years of people pleasing wore me down. I had to stop thinking like the crowd so I could stand on my own and free flowing and loving life. Nothing gets me down when I'm feeling this light. I'm free flowing. I found the charm of living each day my own way. I'm free flowing, make no excuse for who you are and what you do. Just keep singing, free flowing. The bar got raised a little too high. I'd try and fail and then fail to try, but no one can live their life that way and want to wake up every day. So I gave up perfection, 'cause it's more fun drawn outside the lines, goofing off in the sun. Yeah, I'm the lucky one to be free flowing and loving life. Nothing gets me down when I'm feeling this light. I'm free flowing. I found the charm of living each day my own way. I'm free flowing, make no excuse for who you are and what you do. Just keep singing, free flowing. Now I laugh until I cry. I feel that joy deep down inside. I've shaken off the need to just... I think music is a real gift. It's a gift to give and it's a gift to receive. And I'm so honored to have been able to spend such a large part of my life making music and giving music and also receiving it from some of the great artists that have inspired me. So God bless music and God bless the people out there that enjoy music, because they give as much back to me. I set the microphone. The people out there that enjoy music, they give as much to me as they tell me I give to them. And I think it's a blessing, and every day I'm grateful for it.